And I have a book here on sexual desire called How Sexual Desire Works. And this was written by Professor Frederick Toates. And I have Fred with me now. And Fred, what prize did this book win?
It won the Prose Award given by the Association of American Publishers in the category of psychology in 2015.
Okay, so it's a very prestigious award to win. You must be very proud.
I was pleased, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. And so this book is a bit of a tour de force, isn't it?
I would like to think so,
yeah,
yes.
No, I think
yes.
It's had outstanding reviews.
Yes.
And it covers how sexual desire works, which is a subject of interest to most people, I think.
I would think so, yes.
Yes. And so, how does it begin, Fred? Do you talk about sexual desire generally?
I talk about how we can begin to understand it. What sort of tools of the trade do we need to begin to understand how sexual desire works? And I look at the latest findings in brain research to ask what's happening in the brain when someone experiences sexual desire, why that particular desire, what is the direction it takes, and what kind of brain chemicals underlie that desire.
Okay, well, it's obviously a really fascinating subject. Could you give us a quick tour of the brain while sexual desire is being felt?
Well, one of the principal targets of our interest is the brain chemical called dopamine. That seems to be underlying the desire part of sex. And other chemicals like the opioids seem to be underlying the pleasure that it gives. And there can be a kind of fracture between them. So sometimes they get out of alignment with each other. That can happen.
Okay, and when they get out of alignment, what happens then? Can you point to an example?
Well, they can get out of alignment in two different ways. And the wanting mechanism can go up and up and up in intensity, but not carry the liking with it. And that happens in some cases of addiction, where a person may crave thousands of porno images, but not actually like them to the same degree and intensity. Conversely, the desire can come down, whereas the liking can still remain quite high. And this can happen in established marriage relationships where the couple really can't be bothered to switch off the television for long enough. But if they actually do manage to switch it off, they quite enjoy the experience and quite surprise themselves.
Okay.
So it can split either way.
Right, that's actually really interesting because you tend to think that wanting and liking go hand in hand. But you're saying that no, in some cases they don't. Is that
intuitively you suppose they would?
Well, you would, yeah.
And that is the way that implicitly we used to think about it. But some 30 years ago now, evidence was obtained by researchers at the University of Michigan showing that there's a split between them and different neurochemistries underlie each.
Are they served by different parts of the brain, the liking and the wanting system?
Well, on a very fine grain, yes.
Okay, right.
They are, but they're still probably localised in certain identifiable regions, but you can, if you look closely enough, see a split.
Okay, right. Okay, so it's not always... But desire is not always good, is it? It's not always a good thing, if you can put it that way. I mean, you do touch on a little bit of deviance in the book as well, don't you? That might not be considered, well, it's definitely not considered a good thing.
Yes, absolutely.
But you do that to foster understanding, is that correct?
I do it to foster understanding, to show how the same kind of insights that can illuminate normal consensual desire can also illuminate aberrant desire. And by aberrant desire I mean such things as violent sexual desire or paedophilic desire. I think that the same kind of basic brain processes can illuminate the whole range of desires. This is the theme of my book.
Okay, so the desire, it can give such pleasure, but also not, I suppose, and your book attempts, does it not, to understand a whole spectrum?
The whole spectrum, from good, happy, consensual to the more awful in the way of violent sexual desire, which is quite a shocking thing, but it needs to be understood.
Absolutely. I mean, it can't have been pleasant to research that, but yes, it does need to be understood. Can I ask you something though? What started you off on this course? I mean, this has obviously been something that must have taken you a great deal of time to write, and has obviously been an interest your whole life. So, what sparked this off, Fred? Can you tell us?
Well, it's sparked off when I did my doctorate at the University of Sussex many years ago. I got into motivation.
Right.
Having got into motivation, I then looked at different sorts of motivation: feeding, drinking, sex, drug taking, and so on. This seemed the most fascinating one, and the one which may be the most general, broad appeal to people.
Absolutely. Well, you've certainly received outstanding reviews for this book, so we can't recommend it highly enough. And Fred is actually our president of the Open University Psychological Society, and we're very proud to have Fred as our president. And we're having a conference next year, we're holding a conference next year at the University of Warwick from the 5th to the 7th of May. And the conference is on the psychology of desire. But we're not just covering sexual desire, are we, Fred? We're going to go for a whole spectrum of desires and why we desire the things we do.
Yes, we are. It's in May 2017 at the beautiful University of Warwick. These events are extremely popular. They're great fun, a good chance to socialise with friends, as well as stimulating lectures. The disco, there's a bar, of course. They're always great fun. It'd be good to see you there.
It certainly would. Hope to see you there.